Hi, I'm Cassie, and I would like to begin by sending blessings to everyone on the planet. In this video, I would like to talk about violent religions upon the invasion of the planet that transpired in stages since the Luciferian Rebellion. The negative alien agenda was formed by the intruders to prepare the inhabitants of the planet to worship false alien gods. One of the heightened events of enemy patterning buried in our cellular memory history is that of the Luciferian Rebellion, which reached its apex during the end of the Atlantean Cataclysm root race human evolution cycle. From the Guardian perspective, this was the end result of our last eon or astrological age, approximately 26,000 years ago by our human timeline measurement. What resulted in our Atlantean Cataclysm evolution experiment was quite a traumatizing cataclysm that set the events into motion as to what humans would experience in the next eon cycle. The last 26,000 years have been a dark cycle of evolution and planetary rule, and this current age of de-evolution is now coming to completion. With the recent timeline intersection, a large chunk of the cellular history has been playing out into our hologram and therefore our lives, and so we are able to complete this enemy patterning now via these new evolutionary intersections. Enemy patterning is an archetypal filter used in the victimizer mind control programming, and it is related to a point in time where consciousness first experienced extreme death trauma in the grand polarity experiment that was the result of the many galactic wars that contain the hidden histories of the human Holocaust, which reverberated throughout the entire universal time matrix. The wars and genocidal campaigns generated damage in the consciousness matrix that then became the seed of the enemy patterning, which continued the reenactments of the same Holocaust histories on the Earth through mind control. It was during the Atlantean Cataclysm and what is known as the Luciferian Rebellion that the planetary stargates, the planetary grids, became controlled by the negative alien agenda controlling races such as the reptilians, the Anunnaki and the Draconians. And this grid became during this time under the control of these beings who use these grids for reversed purposes from their original design and intent for DNA assemblage and progression of the human race DNA synthesis. And this has been a long cycle of a dark age of human evolution and part of the plan of coming into the seeds of darkness in order to return to the age of enlightenment. To enforce their patriarchal domination in human culture, some false father archetypes were hand-selected by the negative alien agenda and showcased as patriarchal prophets for their violent religions. And so, through brainwashing methods, employing militarization strategy with technological mind control, the predator mind and their religions were downloaded into the planetary mind. When the planetary mind was invaded, the collective race mind of humanity was changed forever. Over generations of religious programming, the truth of the negative alien invasion was forgotten through the consistent consciousness wiping and recycling of the collective soul body of the Earth, and this allowed the negative alien ideology of killing, warring, persecuting and torturing humans to run rampant on Earth, and for humans to believe they are bound to a variety of insane religious rituals. Repeated rituals are emphasized in Orthodox religion to mind control people into strict dogmatic beliefs mixed with an obsessive level of anxiety. Mind control implants are used to activate anxiety in the person if the ritual, a prayer or offering is not prepared to exact specifications. And this is a form of indoctrination into their symbolism and religious interpretation. One may imagine that in the religious zealot implant or in satanic ritual, the person's fear and anxiety feeds a vampiric entity. The entity then stimulates the binding to religious or ritual addiction to continue to generate energy from them, When a human mind is dogmatic, obsessive, and ritualistic, they shut down and lose access to free and open thinking. Eventually, fear and rigid thought forms fragment the mind, and this may result in bipolar and manic symptoms, and eventually generating multiple personalities called alters. When a mind is fragmented, the body is easily possessed as a dark portal, and each of the multiple personalities are bound to a version of the demonic entity or a level of the hierarchy of the fallen angelic forces which govern the alternative personality. And to manipulate the personality to siphon the person's energy. And this is one way a dark portal is formed in a human body. Most organized religions were designed to prepare for the submission to a future full-scale Earth invasion by these alien gods, if and when they could replicate the human genetic code. If they could replicate genetic code and sustain life force, then they could exist on Earth without degeneration and decay of their natural bodies. They have instituted alien hybridization and breeding programs to gradually genetically modify human bodies to be used as future receptacles for incarnating their races. In the abductions during the sleep state, or through military cooperation with MILAB programs, military abduction programs, they genetically experiment with artificial intelligence and the cybergization of human genetics to help these extra dimensionals inhabit fully in a human hybrid body on the Earth's surface. And this is similar to saying that the fallen angelics and their hierarchies that could not have previously incarnated into a human body now have an ability to do that through accessing portals of consciousness. Some of us will notice certain human bodies with black or deadened eyes or with no human energy aura. In many cases, these are dark portals for fallen angelics or galactic dark spirit possessions. When the body expires, the fallen angelic or galactic spirit consciousness will leave this earthly plane through that human body. Humanity was largely forced to accept violent religion and brainwashing by corrupt religious authorities to prepare human beings to submit to these alien false gods. Through bullying, threats, and intimidation over many generations, humans accepted the violence and blood sacrifice as God's will. Humans also accepted stupefying levels of persecution, degradation, and discrimination through being shamed, humiliated, and beaten down to believe that they are not worthy of receiving spiritual knowledge or truth and required a holy intermediary. And this intermediary is the alien false father god, which hijacked the direct relationship to the creative forces, elemental spirits of the earth, and interfered with the inner spirit of the human being. And this is why most of all spiritual knowledge on this earth is demonized as the work of Satan and manipulated through fear in the masses. And as long as humans are terrorized by the concept of gaining knowledge and truth, they will continue to flee in fear from that knowledge. Knowledge is power and is why the negative alien agenda prevents it from being made available. As an example, they are killing schoolgirls and women in Muslim countries who just want the basic right to educate themselves or learn how to drive a car. All level of open source information, knowledge and education in the global population is under direct attack on the planet. This is the negative alien agenda directing this from their top-down chain of command. We may think it is human, but it is not. And this is why we must make an effort to educate ourselves about the larger agendas playing out on Earth at this time. And because the intruders' agenda is to control, manipulate and siphon earthly resources, elementals and all natural forces on the earth, all of these forces were intentionally demonized in religion as the works of Satan. Both early Christians and the occult have often divided up the evil spirits under fire, water, air and earth, and this is to terrorize the average person indoctrinated into organized religion to run in fear from any sign or symbol that represents earth, nature, zodiac, alchemy, geometry, gender, or the elements of creation. None of these elements are inherently evil. The intentional abuse of natural forces by fallen entities through satanic ritual is what makes them satanic, not their inherent design. And it is important to discern the difference, as these natural forces and components must be returned to their rightful owner, as many of these creation codes belong to the Holy Mother's Cathar body. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video.